everyone, especially to Coach Jude. A pleasant day to you. I'm the little teacher of Study Hub number 1. I am Rhea May S. Morales, and my members are Crystal Rain Bangut, Antoinette Banzal, Princess Rolona, and Madeline Araneta. We will explain to you the lesson 2. We will explain to you the Module 2 Learner-Centered Psychological Principles or LCP. Welcome today. We're diving into a crucial topic in education, which is the Learner-Centered Psychological Principles or the LCP. These principles are all about putting learner at the center of the learning process. Is not just about teaching, it's about understanding how students learn best and creating an environment that supports their unique needs. Think of it as a shift from a teacher-centered approach to one that truly prioritizes the learner's experience. In this module, we'll explore the nature of learner-centered teaching. We'll learn how to differentiate our teaching methods to suit individual learners' needs, strength, and interests. We'll also examine factors that motivate students to take ownership of their learning and how developmental and social factors can influence their learning environment. So, by understanding these principles, we can create more effective and engaging learning experiences for all students. The LCP framework is based on 14 key. 14. 14 keys principle group into four general factors. First, we have the cognitive and metacognitive factors, motivational and affective factors, developmental and social factors, and individual differences factors. We will unpack each of these factors in detail throughout this module or this topic. So, we learned that learner-centered psychological principles or the LCP emphasize putting the learner at the heart of the learning process. Now, let's dive deeper into the first set of factors that influence learning, which is the cognitive and metacognitive factors. So these factors are all about how students think and learn and how they regulate their own understanding. So it also delves into how students think and learn, regulation of understanding, nature of the learning process, active construction of meaning, connecting new information to existing knowledge, and different types of learning processes. The first principle focuses on the nature of the learning process. So now, join with me and explore what is all about the nature of the learning process. So, learning is not just about passively absorbing information, it's an active process of constructing meaning from experiences and information. So think about it. When you learn a complex subject, you're not just memorizing facts, right? You're connecting those facts to what you already know, drawing conclusions, and building a deeper understanding. There are different types of learning processes, from habit formation in motor skills to the generation of knowledge and cognitive strategies. Learning in school emphasizes the use of intentional processes where students actively construct meaning from information, experiences, and their own thoughts and beliefs. Successful learners are active. goal-directed, and take personal responsibility for their learning. Let's dive to the second principle, which is the goals of learning process. Successful learners over time and with support can create meaningful, coherent representations of knowledge. Learning is strategic and requires a goal directed approach. So, to acquire the thinking and learning strategies necessary for continued learning success across the lifespan, student must generate and pursue personally relevant goals. This means understanding their own learning styles, setting achievable goals, and actively seeking out opportunities for growth. So now let's delve into the third principle, which is the construction of knowledge. Let's talk about building knowledge. It's not just about memorizing facts. Again, you're not just only memorizing facts, but also you are learning. It's about creating connections and making sense of what we learn. Think about it like building a house. You need a strong foundation. Of course, when you are building a house, you need that a strong foundation so that whatever calamities that will go or whatever will happen, your house is still standing or you are still standing. It is like the knowledge or it is like about our knowledge. Whatever goes around, our knowledge is still on our mind. And each new piece of knowledge is like adding a block to the foundation. But what makes a house truly strong? What do you think? The answer is it's the way the bricks are connected. So because of that bricks that are connected, the foundation of the house is very strong. So it's like the mortar that holds them together. That's what we're talking about here. How we connect our new information with what we already know. So, this process of linking new ideas to existing knowledge is crucial, is important for us for building a strong and lasting understanding. Of course, we want and we need a lasting understanding that whatever and wherever we go, we can still bring that knowledge. So now we will go to the fourth principle, which is the strategic thinking. Now, imagine you're building a complex structure. Like a skyscraper, you need more than just a bricks. You need a plan, a strategy. Of course, successful learners are like skilled architects. They use their knowledge and understanding to develop strategies for tackling challenges and reaching their learning goals. They think the best way to approach a problem. They break it down into smaller steps and they adapt their approach based on what they learn along the way. It's about being flexible and resourceful in your learning. And it's a skill that can be developed with practice. Now, we will go to the PEP principle, which is the thinking about thinking. So let's talk about metacognition or thinking about thinking. Again, this is about becoming aware of your own learning processes and how you think. Successful learners are reflective. They think about how they learn best. They identify their strengths and weaknesses and they adjust their learning strategies accordingly. They set realistic goals, monitor their progress, and make adjustment as needed. Wow! It's about taking control of your knowledge and also about of your own learning and becoming a more effective and independent learner. So also is about controlling about your own learning and becoming a more effective and independent learner. So when you are independent learner, you can learn alone without any peers that surrounds you. So of course, You will not say is that I need my best friend, that I need my mother. No, because you are independent learner. So you can learn by your own self. That is the one of the advantage about it. We've explored the cognitive and metacognitive aspects of learning, how knowledge is constructed, and the importance of setting goals. Now, let's shift our focus to the final key factor in LCP. So, the context of learning. Learning doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's deeply influenced by the environment in which it takes place. Factors like culture, technology, and instructional practices all play a significant role in shaping the learning experience. Teachers play a major role in creating a supportive and interactive learning environment. They work with both the learner and the learning environment to ensure that learning is effective and engaging. So, the cultural group also influence impact learning. So, for example, students' motivation, orientation toward learning, and ways of thinking can be influenced by their cultural background and the groups they belong to. Instructional practices must be appropriate for learners' level of prior knowledge, cognitive abilities, and their learning and thinking strategies. Technology plays a crucial role in today's learning environment. It can provide access to information, enhance engagement, and personalized learning experiences. However, it's important to use technology thoughtfully and ensure that it's integrated effectively into the learning process. The classroom environment itself has a significant impact on student learning. A nurturing and supportive classroom can foster a love for learning, encourage collaboration, and promote student success. The degree to which is classroom is nurturing or not can make a big difference in how students feel about learning and how they perform. By understanding the context of learning and how it influences student success, we can create more effective and engaging learning environments. Remember, every learner is unique and every learning environment is different. By applying the principles of LCP, we can create a more equitable and impactful learning experience for all students. So that's all for the six principles of the cognitive and metacognitive factors. Thank you so much for listening the first one. So now let's hear from Crystal Banggood to explain the motivational and affective factors.
Good morning, classmates. Good morning, Coach Jude. And now I will going to discuss to you the motivational and affective factors. First, motivational and emotional influence on learning. What and how much is learned is influenced by the learner's motivation. Motivation to learn, in turn, is influenced by the individual's emotional states, beliefs, interests, and habits of thinking. Learner motivation significantly impact what and how much is learned. This motivation is shaped by emotional states, beliefs, interests, and thinking habits. The rich, eternal world of thoughts, beliefs, goals, and expectation for success or failure can enhance or interfere with the learner's quality of thinking and information processing. So the thoughts and beliefs a learner holds can either enhance or hinder their thinking and information processing. For instance, a learner's expectation for success can drive engagement, while fears of failure can create barrier. Students' belief about themselves as learners and the nature of learning have marked influence on motivation. Motivational and emotional factors also influence both the quality of thinking and information processing as well as individuals' motivation to learn. A student's belief in their own abilities and their understanding of learning dynamics strongly affect their motivation. This interplay of emotional and motivational factors influence how effectively they process information and engage with others. Positive emotions, such as curiosity, generally enhance motivation and facilitate learning and performance. Mild anxiety can enhance learning and performance by focusing the learner's attention on a particular task. However, intense negative emotion, such as anxiety, panic, rage, insecurity, and related thoughts, worrying about the competence, ruminating about failure, fearing punishment, ridicule, and stigmatizing label, generally detract from the motivation, interfere with learning, and contribute to low performance. Positive emotion like curiosity boosts motivation and learning performance. Conversely, intense negative emotion such as anxiety or insecurity can distract from learning and diminish performance. Second is the intrinsic motivation to learn. The learner's creativity, higher order thinking, and natural curiosity all contribute to the motivation to learn. Intrinsic motivation is stimulated by tasks of optimal novelty and difficulty, relevant to personal interest, and providing for personal choice and control. Intrinsic motivation is fueled by natural curiosity, creativity, and higher order thinking. It thrives under conditions that foster personal relevance and choice. Curiosity, flexible, and insightful thinking and creativity are major indicators of the learner's intrinsic motivation to learn, which is in large part a function of meeting basic needs to be competent and to exercise personal control. Intrinsic motivation is heightened when tasks are novel, appropriately challenging, and connected to learners' interests. Learners are more engaged when they feel competent and have control over their learning. So intrinsic motivation is facilitated on tasks that learners perceive as interesting and personally relevant and meaningful, appropriate in complexity and difficult to the learner's abilities, and on which they believe they can succeed. Intrinsic motivation is also facilitated on tasks that are comparable to real-world institutions and meet needs for choice and control. Tasks that mirror real-life situations and offer autonomy contribute significantly to intrinsic motivation. Educators can encourage and support learners' natural curiosity and motivation to learn by attending individual differences in learners' perception of optimal novelty and difficulty, relevance, and personal choice and control. Educators can cultivate intrinsic motivation by recognizing and adapting to individual learners' differences in what they find interesting and challenging. Third is the effect of motivation on effort. Acquisition to complex knowledge and skills requires extended learner effort and guided practice. Without learners' motivation to learn, the willingness to exert this effort is unlikely without coercion. Achieving complex knowledge and skills demands significant effort for learners. Motivation plays a critical role in determining this willingness to exert effort. Effort is another major indicator of motivation to learn. The acquisition of complex knowledge and skills demands the investment of considerable learner energy and strategic effort with persistence over time. The amount of effort invested in learning is a key sign of motivation. Sustained engagement and persistence are essential for mastering challenging concepts. Educators need to be concerned with facilitating motivation by strategies that enhance learner effort and commitment to learning and achieving high standards of comprehension and understanding. Educators should focus on strategies that promote motivation by creating purposely engaging learning experiences that evoke positive emotion and intrinsic interest. Effective strategies include purposeful learning activities guided by practices that enhances positive emotion and intrinsic motivation to learn, and methods that increase learners' perception that a task is interesting and personally relevant. These include activities that highlight relevance and interest, fostering an environment where learners are committed to achieving high standards of understanding. That's all for today's video. Thank you!
So hi everyone, hi Coach Jude. So for today's video, we are going to tackle about the developmental and the social factors. So before that, I would like to introduce myself first. Hi everyone, my name is Antoinette Ann Bansal from BS Ed English 1B, Study Hub number 1. So for today's video, we are going to tackle about the developmental and the social factors. So there are two developmental social factors, which is the first one is the development influence on learning. The second one is the social influence on learning. So the first one is the development and influence on learning. So as individual develop, there are different opportunity concentrate for learning. Learning is most effective when a differential develop with across of physical, intellectual, emotional, and the social dominant and is take into account. So it is very important to know how we can interact with other people. So by doing that, we should know how they react, how they emotional. So as a people growth and change, they have a different limitation when it's come to learning. So learning work best when we consider how individual develop his physical, his intellectual or her intellectual, and also the emotional and the social dominant of the person. So the first one is individual learns best when materials is appropriate to their developmental level. So it's present enjoyable and interesting way. So I will give you an example about that. So imagine when you are teaching a group of kids about the animals. So you're just talking to them about what animals do, what is the behavior of animal. So in that way, they will find an interesting because they're still a children. So we must do is to find them interesting and enjoyable. We will show them a picture of animals with colorful background and also explain it in a simple way. So in that way, children must find interesting about the topic of the animals. So the second one is because of individuals' development carries across an intellectual, social and emotional and physical dominant, and also achievement in different instructional dominant may also vary. So in this part, we are going to talk about the different kind of intellectual of the person. So I will give you an example this. So example this, a group of kids in a classroom. They are the same age, but they are not the same. What do you mean by they are not the same? Because some of them are good in dancing, some of them are good in singing, some of them are good in solving math, or some of them are good in writing. So that's because everyone has a different kind of development. So some of kids learn quickly, but some others it takes time to learn. So some of them are good in this thing, some of them are good in this thing. So it's explained that children are not the same when it's come to development. So the third one is overemphasize on one type of developmental readiness, such as reading. So readiness may pre-include learners from demonstrating that they are more capable in other areas of performance. So in this part, they are talking about the performance of the person, which is the talent of the person. So I will give you an example of this. So imagine you're just preparing for a talent show. So you're good at dancing, but the organizers tell you that they won't allow you to perform because they are looking for a singer. So in that way, they focus too much on the singing. So they don't give you a chance to perform in stage. So they are focusing only on singing. So focusing too much on one skill can limit a child to shine his or her performance. So we should celebrate all the kind of talent and encourage the children and develop their abilities and uniqueness. So the number 3 is basically it's talk about that a people is not only focusing on one talent, because all of us has different kind of talent. So when you are good at singing and dancing, or some other are good at reading books, solving a math problem. So basically it's talk about that people it's not only focusing on his or her one talent. So the fourth one is the cognitive, emotional, and the social development of individual learners and how they interpret life experience. So are effectively of freer schooling, home, culture, and also the community factor. So in this part, they are talking about the experience of the human. So the experience of the human has a different kind of experience, especially from the community, school, or other environmental. So we'll give an example of this. So when you are growing up in a small city, so they might be learned to be more cooperative and friendly. So as we know that in province, the people there is very friendly and they are always smiling. So in that way, you can engage relationship with other persons. So they might also learn about the nature and the outdoor activity because of the open space around them. So the provinces has a lot of big space, so you can learn how to a different kind of sports rather. So you also learn the outdoor activity, which is the sports, like I said. So you learn them to interact with other culture, because the province not only when you are saying province, not only for the Christian, it's also as a Muslim. So interaction with other people must be very important, because you can communicate with them and also create a relationship with them. So by interacting and communicating with other person or with other people, it can give you a knowledge, not just a knowledge, but also the life experience. So the fifth one is early and continuing parental involvement in schooling and the quality of language interaction and two-way communication between the adult and the children can influence this developmental area. So in this part, they are talking about the relationship and interaction between the adult and the children. So I'll give an example of this. So imagine when you was a kid, before you sleep, your parents love you tell a story, even acting the character together. So with that, the child is likely to develop his or she stronger language skill and also a love reading book and has a good understanding of the world around us. So in that way, the parents has a big impact about the development of the children, because the parents might be they are the first one who teach us how to develop ourselves. So it is very important for adult and children to have a communication or relationship or even interaction with one another to help the children to develop their self. So we have the last one, which is the awareness and understanding of developmental differences among the children with or without emotional, physical, or even intellectual disability can facilitate the creation of optimal learning context. So in this part, we are talking about the different kind of children or the different kind of learners that we have. So as a future educator, we must know how our children behave or how they interact with other, because in our classroom, in the classroom, the children or the learners are not the same. Some might be learn easily, some is they need a time, or some is they have a different way how to learn. So we must know the different kind of children that we have in classroom, especially if we have special children, which is the person with disability. We must be gentle to them because they are not normal like us. So the last one is the social influence on learning. So what does it mean from the word social? So it means that learning is influenced by social interaction, interpersonal relation, and communication with other person. So by that, learning is influenced by people around us. So by communicating, we can build relationship with one another. So it can have a big impact on how we learn, especially when we are interaction with our classmate, sharing our thoughts and opinions. So social interaction play a important role in how we learn and how we grow as a person. And also to have an understanding and different kind of perspective by giving different kind of opinion by our interaction with other person, and also to have a new idea. So the first one in social influence on learning is learning can be enhanced when the learner has an opportunity to interact and to collaborate with on instructional tasks. So let's say for instance, when you are building a puzzle with your friends, so in that way you can have a strong relationship and also to understand the puzzle more and to collaborate with your friends. It means that working together is better than working alone. So the second one is learning settings that allow for social interaction and respect diverse, encourage flexible thinking and social competence. So in this part, they are talking about the interaction in different kind of religion or in different kind of people. So imagine a classroom where everyone feels comfortable sharing their thoughts and ideas, and even they are different. So in these learning settings that encourage a flexible thinking and also the social competence of the person. So in this part, they are talking about the diversity of the different kind of the person. So it means like when you're sharing your thoughts or even ideas with your friends, you can have a strong relationship and respect their different kind of beliefs, or show them that you have respect what they are and who they are. So the third one is interactive and collaborative instructional context. So individual have an opportunity for perspective, taking and reflective thinking. So that may lead to the higher level of cognitive, social, and the moral development of a person as well as a self-esteem. So in this part, they are talking a different kind of perspective of the people. So I will give you an example of this. So imagine inside the classroom, everyone give an opportunity to share their ideas, thoughts, or even their feelings. So in that way, so in this kind of environment, help people to grow in many ways. So collaborative and interactive. So learner help to become a better version of themselves and to also be a better thinker and also to have confidence to themselves. So the fourth one is quality personal relationship that provide stability, trust, and care can increase learners' sense of belonging, so self-respect, and also self-acceptance, and provide positive climate for learning. So imagine having supportive friends and family who was always there for you to support, not just support but also care about you and make you feel that you are belong. So they are really important for when it's come to learning, because they are the tools. When it comes to tools, like they are our motivation. So next time we have to open up with other person, especially with the people that we trust. We need to be open to them, especially when we have a problem. So don't be afraid to ask for help, because in that way you can have good advice and also lesson learned. So we have the fifth one. So the fifth one is a family influence positive interpersonal support and instructional in self-motivation. So strategy can be a set of factors that impair with optimal learning, such as negative beliefs about competence in a particular subject and high level of text anxiety. So negative sex roles rather. So sex role expectation and undue pressure to perform well. So imagine when you are trying to learn something new, but you have a doubt that you might be think that I'm not good at math, or even I never be able to play a guitar, or you might be feel so very nervous when it's come to presentation. So there are many things that to overcome all of the doubt that you have, which is to have a motivation. So like a family support, positive support, not just a family support or positive support, but also have self-support. You always have to believe yourself that you can do it. So having these things in your life, you can overcome the thing that might be holding you back and to be more confident and successful learner. So it is very important to have a support from your family, friends, or even from yourself. So to have motivation is very important because they are the reason why we still continue to learn. So the last one is positive learning climate can also help to establish the context for healthier level of thinking. So like feelings and also behaving such as a context help learner feel safe to share their ideas, actively participating in the learning process and to create learning community. So imagine when you are in the classroom, everyone's so very free and very feel comfortable with themselves sharing their ideas or even their thoughts. So in this kind of positive learning climate, and it's like safe and also welcoming space where everyone feel free, so when everyone can try what they want. So it is very important to have a communication with other and also to have opinion what you want to do and also to share your ideas. So positive learning climate is like a garden where everyone feel free to bloom. So it's like a place where learner feel safe to explore and also to grow and also to reach their potential. So it is very important to share our ideas or even our opinion to everyone because it is very important to share what we want or what you want. So by that, everyone can acknowledge your participating or participation with them. So overall, the developmental and the social factor, it's talk about learning and influence. So I know that all of us has unique. We are all unique. So we have a different way how we learn. We have a different way how we influence or how they influence us by our development. So it is very important to interact with other people because by interaction with them, you can build a relationship. So it is very important to communicate because communication is the only way to interact with other people. So communication is the best key to understand each other. Not just communication but also understanding and collaboration. So collaboration is very important to work with other people because if you are collaborating with them, you can have a good relationship with other. So the development and the social factor tells us that everyone is unique. Everyone has a different way how they grow and how they develop themselves. So that's all for my part. I hope you learned something, especially when it comes to development of the person.
But first, what do you know about individual difference factors? Let me discuss it to you. Individual differences refer to the distinct characteristic, attributes, or traits which differentiate one person from another. And the last one is standard and assessment, setting appropriately high and challenging standards, and assessing the learners as well as learning progressive, including diagnostic, process, outcome assessment, are integrated parts of the learning process. Assessments provide an important information to both the learner and teacher to all stages of the learning process. Effective learning takes place when learners take challenge to work towards appropriately high goals. Therefore, appraisal of the learner's cognitive strength and weaknesses as well as current knowledge. Ensure is important for the selection of instructional materials of an optimal degree of difficulty.
Ongoing assessment of the learner's understanding of the curriculum material provide valuable feedback to both learners and teachers. It's about progress toward the learner's goals. Standard assessment of learner progress and outcomes assessment provides a type of information about achievement levels both within across individuals that can inform various types of pragmatic decisions. Performance assessment can provide other sources of information about the attainment of learning outcomes. Self-assessment of learning and progressive can also improve students' self-appraisal skills and enhance motivation and self-directed learning. And that would be all. Hope you learned something in this video. Ethnicity, races, beliefs, and socioeconomic status all can influence learners. Carefully attention to these factors in the instructional setting enhances the possibilities for designing and implementing appropriate learning and environment. When learners
Good day, Coach. My name is Madeline F. Araneta from Sergeant Lab 1. Today, I'm going to tackle the legal and policy frameworks on learner-centered teaching. So, according to Republic Act 10533, it is an act enhancing the Philippine basic education system by strengthening its curriculum and increasing the number of years. It includes the core basic education, the primary education, the secondary education, the tertiary education, and overall basic education. So we as a learner should know the importance of learning-centered teaching and should follow the legal and policy. And also, that's why we have this called basic education. We all know that we finish this basic education during our primary, secondary, right? So this tertiary education, we should follow the legal and policy education for us to be able to finish our studies.
I know